Welcome to Peter Legge Podcast, where you're empowered to lead, inspire, and influence.
Well, good morning, Paul Holden. Good to have you.
Morning, Peter. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Paul and I have been friends and associates for many years since he immigrated from England to Canada. So tell me, Paul, how long have you been president and CEO of the Burnaby Board of Trade?
About 9.5 years now. I joined in early 2011, so coming up 9.5 years, and it's gone past pretty quickly.
It does. It does. That's one of the problems with time. It seems like it's slow, but it goes very fast.
Exactly. Yeah.
So tell me, first of all, how are you handling and communicating to your members through this pandemic?
Well, if anything, we're trying to avoid over communicating. You don't want to be swamping people's emails too much, but there's been so much to communicate over this period that it's been really important that we've made sure that we're in touch as often as possible. So we've been right from when we started, we decided to keep our full complement of staff, but in some respects to repurpose the jobs that people were doing. So we dedicated 2 people in the early months to do nothing but phone up every member we have, and we have 1,100 members. So their job was to start at the beginning and phone every member, check in, see how they were doing, and to make sure that they were aware of the COVID-19 resource page that we'd created on our website, which contained all the information on government resources and other programs that might be of help to them. So that was the first step, just get 2 people doing nothing but phone calls. But obviously that takes a while to reach everybody. So in addition to that, we already had a weekly newsletter, which we still do, that goes out to all members. And then on top of that, we started to do daily COVID email updates, and then twice a week we do a webcast of COVID updates. So it's been very frequent. In some of the early days, we were finding we were sending 2 emails a day sometimes with new things that were happening and changing. But it's kind of settled down now, and we're emailing every couple of days. We're doing the 1 webcast a week and the newsletter. And we've just started now a second round of phone calls to all members from the team just to check in on how things are going now that we're sort of 4 months into this.
Yeah. Are you able to have any breakfast, lunches, receptions at all, even if it's just the 50 people as dictated by Dr. Bonnie?
Well, we've been doing a lot of virtual events. So whether it's webinars, which are informational based, or our usual breakfast networking event has become a virtual one at the moment. We're able to use breakout rooms so that people can still do a lot of the networking and the small group discussions that we used to do, and so we're doing those. But last week we had our first in-person event since all of it started, and it was well within the restrictions and the advice of Dr. Henry. She's said that people can have up to 50 people at a gathering. We chose to keep it to 30. And it was our annual Mayor's State of the City address. So we had Mayor Hurley there, we had the sponsors of the event, and we had some of our board members there. So a very small group. And then we live streamed it to several hundred people who had signed up for it. And that was a good exercise for us to see if you can make these things work. We're as an organization, and I think this echoes your own sentiments, Peter, that if you can find a way to yes, then you should try to do that. And so we wanted to find a way to the ability to show people that you can have events within the restrictions that are out there. You can do them safely. You can do it so that people feel comfortable. And that was our first attempt at that, and it worked very well. And we're now looking to see if there are other options going forwards. But it's a difficult time. People are very cautious, and we have to respect that and work within the restrictions as they are.
Tell me, what are the 3 biggest challenges facing you and the Burnaby Board of Trade?
Well, it's in a sense during this time it's difficult to identify just 3, but it's I think part of it is at the present moment we know, because we hear it all the time, businesses are struggling. The impacts were quick. They were far quicker than expected and far greater than expected. So for us, one of the biggest challenges is making sure that we are there for the business community. It's making sure that we're providing them with the resources that they need, with the support they need of whatever type that might be. So it's been a challenge in some respects, but it's really been at the core of what we're all about as an organization is being there for the business community and supporting them and helping them. So I think that's one area. Another one has been really from our team's point of view, just making sure that it's a new world and a new environment for myself and for my colleagues here, and just making sure that everyone was comfortable in the new environments that they were working in, making sure they had the resources to do their job, and making sure that we had the ability to touch base as a team on a regular basis, just to keep each other motivated and keep each other supported during the period. So it's been important and a challenge, but it's been an important piece of work to keep doing that. And I think the other aspect is really, and it's something, to be honest, that we'd already started, but it's really, as most people are having to do, is just understanding how we might need to pivot the work of our organization to address and to work in the new way of things. Events, we used to do 60 to 70 in-person events a year. We can't do those now, so we're having to do them, communicate and engage with our members in a different way. But for a number of years, we'd really been focusing on what some people might think of as the behind the scenes work that a Chamber of Commerce does, which is the work to be a catalyst for the economic development of the community, a convener of leaders, business and community leaders, and a champion for business. And that work has really come to the fore. So that was an important challenge to address early, was to recognize as soon as we could, and I think we did, that we need to be making a different type of organization, or if not a different type, make sure that we're communicating differently the work we're doing on behalf of our members.
Is there any one or two things that you are doing specifically to help your members cope with this pandemic?
Yes, and a lot of it came through something which we believe we're the first Chamber of Commerce in the country to do this. We convened a task force in very early May when we saw, A, that there'd been some tremendous impacts on the business community, but B, that we were starting to take some steps forward to recovery and rebuilding. So we wanted to make sure that we were there for our members and for the business community. So we convened a task force. The mayor was on it, together with the representatives of large business, small business, academia, not-for-profits, labor, a very broad-based task force. And they met 10 times over a 9-week period. And at the end of it, we released a report which came out about a week ago with 13 action points to really support the recovery and resilience of businesses and the business community here in Burnaby. And it's a groundbreaking piece of work, to be truthful. We're the only ones who have done that. And we're very proud of the work that came out of it. And we're really excited to get things in action. We'll be announcing in the next week or so a couple of the first action points that are coming out of it. And some of the quick starts that we had during the course of the task force have already come into fruition, such as the opening up of patios for restaurants and dining establishments. But there's lots of other work we've been doing, and we really feel it's going to make a meaningful difference to the businesses here.
Is there any way you can share a couple of those?
Yeah, sure. So we're establishing a hybrid virtual and physical center for business recovery and resilience, which is going to be housed here at the Board of Trade. And within that, it'll be a resource for business education, for access to information on business resources, grants. It'll be providing resources to businesses on transitioning to a digital environment. It'll be an advocacy, a place for advocacy on behalf of business. One of the areas that we're working very hard on at the moment is addressing the childcare issues that many businesses and employees are facing, and that's a key bit of work that is coming out of the Centre for Recovery. So I think that the Centre for Recovery is the overall house, if you like, for the work that we're doing. But some of the areas that you'll see sooner than others will be assisting businesses to transform to a more digital environment. You'll see work in the area of childcare. And you'll see more work done in the area of supporting local business, encouraging businesses and consumers to work locally and to focus on businesses that are based here.
Do you think there's any way in which BC Business Magazine and our digital platform could be of assistance to you? And if so, how could we do that?
Well, I'm sure you could. I mean, it's all in that communication of what's going on. You know, we have quite broad communications channels ourselves, but you don't necessarily reach everybody you'd like to. And so any assistance that we can have in terms of getting the word out to businesses on the resources that are there for them. You know, it's interesting. There's a lot of government resource out there, but it takes a long time for people to be able to work their way through the detail of how to access some of these programs. And sometimes if you're a business owner, you know, you just don't have the time necessarily to focus on those kind of things. And that's where we can step in, and we can help with that communication, and we can help with that understanding of what's available. And so anything that BC Business could do through its platforms to communicate what's out there for people and to communicate the resources that we've been putting together would be of tremendous help.
So you say you have about 1,100 members. Is that could you have 1,500 members? Is that possible in Burnaby?
We'd love to. I mean, I think it's you know, we're one of the larger boards of trade or chambers in the province. You'd always like to be bigger. We would love to have more people involved. I think we've become more people have become aware of us during this period because of the work we've been doing to communicate the resources that are out there, and the work we've been doing to support the broader business community. I think there are more folks that are aware of us now than perhaps were before. And as things settle down and as people are able to look at perhaps becoming part of our organization, I think that would be a goal. But at the present moment, it's you know, we have a good, strong membership that we are very engaged with. We'd always like to welcome more. But we have a great group of people at the moment.
Well, we're proud to be one of those 1,100 people, Canada-wide Media, as a member of your organization. So we appreciate all the help you give us.
Thank you.
Well, I've been speaking now to Paul Holden, who is a good friend. He's the CEO and chairman and president of the Burnaby Board of Trade. And as we are located in Burnaby, we're very fond of him and fond of what he does, and appreciate the effort that goes forward to help businesses in this community and in this province. So thanks very much, Paul. Appreciate you being here, and thank you for this interview this morning.
It's a pleasure, Peter. Good to see you again. And let's get together as soon as we're able.
Yes, for sure. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
If you like this post, please share it with your friends, and maybe you would subscribe too. And by the way, make it a great day.
Thank you for listening to Peter Legge Podcast. If you'd like to support this podcast, please log on to peterlegge.com. Thank you for listening to Peter Legge Podcast. If you'd like to support this podcast, please log on to peterlegge.com.